Welcome to another video in our Impact series. I'm Henrik from Membrane, and this is where we explore how the art and science of B2B sales come together to drive real, measurable impact. Today, we're looking at how you can supercharge your prospecting efforts by equipping your team with modern data and AI capabilities right inside of your sales platform. In this example, we're going to take a look at how easy the Insight Engine in Membrane can make this. It connects to an age-old challenge. How do you enable your revenue team to quickly and effectively follow up with leads generated from your marketing efforts? Often key details are missing. Details needed to make it easy for your team to identify if it's a qualified match for your ideal customer profile. Company firmographics like company size, industry, and similar might be missing. Maybe the lead form has gaps in the contact details that make it harder for a salesperson to engage right away. It probably looks something like this in your CRM. A report or a list of inbound leads with very little to go on. It's great that we have these leads, but how do you know which ones are a good match? How do you quickly find the contact details you need as a salesperson to engage? How do you make sure that your initial outreach is as relevant as possible when you don't know much about the company yet? Well, let's dive in and take a look. Here we have a list of those inbound prospects, which is great to see, but we have a bunch of gaps, right? If we're looking at our qualifiers here, they're all blank. We can see they're new prospects in the inbound leads process and they're assigned to me. All right, it's a good start. Now we're getting to the gaps. We don't know if we're selling to public companies or privately held companies. We don't know if it's a good match for that. We're selling to certain industries. We don't know if they're a good match. Maybe we're selling to enterprise or mid-market companies or whatever it might be. So in terms of revenue and employees, we have nothing to go on. So what I'll do here is I'll go straight into one of these prospects to show you what this looks like when we start to dive in. I'll go into Ergomed. So before I can start to engage this prospect as is outlined here with my cadence on reaching out on LinkedIn and an introduction email, I want to do some research. I want to understand if this is a good match for us, how much I should invest in my time, and also get some details here. We can see that Sandra Bullock confirmed or converted on our lead form or something like that. So we have her contact details here, just the name, nothing else to go on. So in this example, we don't know, is this prospect a good match? Do we have the contact details for Sandra? How can I make my relevant outreach as relevant as possible? Let's fix that with just a couple of clicks. So first, I'll go up to the Insight Engine toolbar where we have all kinds of AI and data capabilities. And in this example, I'll start by just enriching Ergomed as a company and Sandra Bullock. I want to have everything I can get at this point. And we found a couple of things. So here, we know that it's a privately held company. We know that it matches our industry. It's not a great match on the revenue. Maybe this company is actually too big. Maybe this is on the larger side of who we collaborate with, but it's not a red flag. So it's not a walk-away signal. We know they have 540 employees, and that seems to fit that span. The remaining qualifiers here are really what is on to me as a salesperson to make sure that these are green before I put it in my pipeline. So we are off to a great start. Scrolling down now, we can see that we found some additional details on Sandra. We can now see that we have her email address, we have her LinkedIn, X profile, and so on. But I didn't get a phone number. So what can I do here? Well, all right, either I can dig a bit deeper with Sandra and see what we can find, or I can find more contacts to engage with. So if I search here, we can find new contacts to engage with. So maybe I'll try with Angela Bassett here, the VP of sales, and I'll add her as a contact to the prospect. All right, here we have Angela, and now I'm right-clicking to enrich her as a contact. I want to try to find everything I can. Great, here we found a phone number right off the bat. So in just a couple of clicks, right, we have gotten a lot more contact details on Sandra. We also got another contact to engage with, and we have a much better understanding if this is a good fit or not. Now, if we were to do this on the entire prospect list, it's going to look pretty different. So let's take a look at what that would be. Going out to the list Having enriched all of these prospects, we now have a much better understanding of where we should prioritize. So we have a few of these that are marked green. We can see that the revenue seems to be a bit of a pattern. Maybe these are on the larger side. We can see this company here is actually not even a good match for us. We don't necessarily sell to nonprofits. Maybe the industry is wrong. They're working in capital markets and that doesn't match our ICP at all. So at this point, I might be able to just disqualify this prospect right off the bat and not spend more time on it. And then I can safely pursue the other ones. But let's go back to Ergomed real quick here and just say, okay, we now have a better understanding if it's a good fit or not. We have a couple of contact details. Now I want to make sure I have the appropriate information to have something that is relevant when I outreach. So, Inside Engine, research. I will ask it to get an overview. I can also just get the company news or industry trends, but I'm going to do this overview research on the company level, giving me understanding what does this company do, what product do they serve, which markets do they serve up, and so on. And here we can see Ergomed Clinical Research is a global contract research organization. They're specializing in rare diseases, complex clinical trials. We can see the services they offer. And as I scroll down, we can see a little bit more on the reach, the market they operate in. Recent developments, we can see that they've expanded recently here to Latin America. What is happening in their industry right now? What are some trends and such that I can potentially relate to in my initial outreach? And with this information, what I can do is save this to the activity stream. So now I have this research being saved here into something that I can then lean back to. I can use this when I engage with them on LinkedIn, over email and such. I can relate back to this and use it in a bunch of interesting ways. Now, I want to touch on a final aspect of prospecting and data and AI capabilities. I have 7 prospects here coming in. Inbound leads, that's a great start. But I know that this isn't going to be enough to help me hit my targets. So I want to find more prospects to work with to complement these. I know that I need to have an outbound motion to complement these inbound leads. So I can go up right here and say, I want to find more companies to engage with. So I'm looking for biotechnology. I'm looking at France, Germany, Spain, United Kingdom, a certain size of employees and revenue. I'm going to search for that. And now I can just see right off the bat a bunch of interesting prospects that I can engage with. And I'll create those prospects. I won't put them in inbound leads. Maybe this is just another process. You know what? I'll put them in inbound leads for now, just to make it simpler. So I can create these, bring them right in. And as I go out here, we can now see that these newly created prospects, I have all of this data that I'm equipped with right off the bat. I can then research, find the contacts, and just start to engaging with more and more prospects. Hopefully filling up my pipeline, hopefully hitting my targets consistently with just a couple of clicks. So as always, I hope this was helpful and that you found something that you can apply, something from this video that you can apply right away, and keep following the Impact series as we here at Membrane continue our journey with you to elevate B2B sales.